So, a comedian just tried to out-debate a military spokesperson on war. And guess what? Total chaos. But the way it ended melted my heart. You've got to see this.
It's fine.
Shut the f up.
It's hard to breathe, but that's alright.
Yo guys, welcome back to Shae Unfiltered, and today we're diving into the now viral moment, Bassem Youssef versus Jonathan Conricus. And honestly, it shocked me. Now, not because they disagreed, I expected that, but because of how childish, rude and unnecessarily aggressive Bassem got. I didn't expect that from someone with this platform. But that's not too much, guys. Let's roll the clip. But before we start this video, make sure you smash like, subscribe, okay? Let's go to that 1 million subscribers, guys.
I think it would be in Israel's interest and the world's interest if they simply lifted the ban on journalists and allowed independent journalists to do their job and verify all these things that are happening. I mean, you agree, right?
Yeah, I remember having this conversation with you, and I think it was that little Canadian Jew, self-hating Jew, I forgot his name, who repeated the same lies or the same story about media. And I remember telling you, Piers, that I will personally see you in the Gaza Strip. If you decide to come over, since you have been campaigning on this, and since I think that you have a point, I don't think that what you say is true. And I don't think that all of the allegations that you make, some of them are directly unfounded. But
which ones out of
interest?
Say, I think which allegations are unfounded? What
you said in the beginning of 3 months, the last
3 month blockade, food and aid,
time to respond. 3 months of starvation. That is nonsense. That is absolute nonsense.
Well, you had a 3 month blockade, right? I mean, there was a
amount.
Well, hang on, Jonathan.
So let me explain. You asked. You did your monologue.
You say nonsense, but there was a three. You don't keep talking.
And if you allow
there was
me to
a 3 month
explain,
blockade of food and aid. You accept that?
Yeah, Piers. Listen.
This is Piers getting back to his old self.
We both know that I cannot be in a shouting contest with your mic with this situation, so I'm not even going to try.
Of course you can, but you can't just dispute there was a...
No, I'm not.
You have to agree there was a 3 month blockade.
I will tell you what there was. There was, before that, a ceasefire which was violated by Hamas when Hamas refused to turn over hostages and to agree to the deal that was presented by the US with Egyptian and even Qatari support. Hamas refused to hand over those hostages and to continue the ceasefire. The ceasefire was ended and Israel returned to fighting. Now, during the ceasefire, Israel literally pumped the Gaza Strip with international aid. Not because we very much wanted to do so, because those were the conditions of the aid.
What happened when the ceasefire ended?
Administration.
What happened when the ceasefire ended?
When the ceasefire ended, Israel stopped allowing that because fighting continued.
And Israel killed 300 people.
Really,
it was reported the next day, Israel killed 300 people.
But here is the really important part.
I don't expect even you to try and explain they were all...
To be honest, I don't really get it. I don't understand why Piers feels like he always has to interrupt. Okay, why? He is the moderator. Yes, he might feel like Jonathan is going off topic and try to bring him back. But as we can see, Jonathan is trying to make a point and he keeps rudely cutting him.
I don't expect even you to try and explain they were all terrorists, right? So they killed 300 people the next day and you launched, and the Israeli government launched a 3 month blockade of food and aid. These are simple facts.
And Israel did indeed stop providing aid to its
that's all I said. So what did I say that was wrong?
There. But it was not a tactic of starvation. Nobody is starving in Gaza. Nobody is starving in Gaza.
Why are they risking death
after the Gaza Strip was
each other to get to food?
With international aid? Piers, after the Gaza Strip was flooded with aid and when UN warehouses couldn't even meet the capacity and when truckloads were delivered from the Israeli side and weren't even taken by the UN on the other side and by their Hamas counterparts, that is when Israel said, okay, we're also going to go back to fighting and nobody is starving in Gaza. That is a complete fabrication. And if you speak about 4K evidence and all of that, Bassem mentioned a lot of nonsense, but you speak about evidence. You know how many videos I've seen of fat Gazans, of fat Hamas fighters?
Now, that was the bit that went viral. That bit of him saying fat Gazans, fat Hamas fighters. That is something that we've been saying on Twitter. People have been tweeting about this, that why are the Gazans fat? Why are they looking so, well fed, so very well nourished? So that has been going on. If that was fake news, I do not know. I never went to research that, but we saw things like that. And there's a lot of fake news online, so I'm not ruling that out completely.
Many videos I've seen of fat Gazans, of fat Hamas fighters, of overweight Gazans. Do you know how difficult it is for an Israeli to believe that Gazans are starving when I see in social media that there are open hotels, that the markets have fresh produce, and that I know the amount of food that is coming into the Gaza Strip? So allow me to question and doubt everything what you say. Yeah, Habibi, allow me to question and doubt everything that you say, Mr. Comedian.
I know sometimes in a debate, the opponent feels like butting in, all right? But usually there's a chance to butt in. In this case, there was no chance to butt in. There was no need. Just allow him to finish, mate.
Bassem, and because you don't have standing, you don't have knowledge, you're outdated, you're repeating. I'll give you credit for saying catchy things and sound bites. You do that very well. But in terms of actually knowing what's going on in Gaza, you have no clue. You're a complete uneducated person who is just regurgitating monologues and catchy names and popular culture at
And you don't think the branding Gazans a bunch of fat
Gaza.
people who aren't starving? You think that's not a catchy little phrase?
This is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
I mean, come on. Really, Jonathan? You're reduced to saying that all Gazans are so overfed, they're all fat. Come on, man.
Send them
Wash your mouth.
and pelotons.
This guy needs to wash his mouth with soap. Yeah, he needs to wash his mouth with soap. On international TV, I mean, there are certain terms, certain words you shouldn't say. You need to be more cultured. You need to be more PG.
Piers, the only really skinny people that I've seen in Gaza, you know who they were? They were Israeli hostages that were starved by Hamas. They are the only skinny people, malnourished and tortured people that I've seen coming out of Gaza. They are the only ones that have been really malnourished. All the other ones that I've seen, and believe me, I have watched hours and hours of footage of Gaza that none of you have taken the time to watch, and I've seen a lot of healthy and some of them, yes, overweight.
To verify whether there are actually any starving people in Gaza. Why don't you, if you're so right, and all the Gazans are incredibly fat from all the extra food they've been eating.
No, that's not what I said.
You did,
Piers,
actually.
I didn't say that.
Then why don't you let the journalists...
No, I didn't say that. I said that I've seen
and we can
Gazans.
analyse just how many fat people in Gaza there are who've been overfed in the last few months.
And we can analyse how many times UN organizations have weathered
the thing is, Jonathan, you can say what the hell you like, but we can't verify it, can we? You won't let journalists get in to verify it.
I'll say it now. I'll say it now a fourth time, Piers. I will invite you personally. I am inviting you personally a fourth time, and I've said it, I think 3 or 4 months ago when I was last before that on your show. I said, Piers, I agree that you should be able to get access to it because you have been campaigning.
And you would let me go anywhere in Gaza, or would I have to be directed to where you want me to see? I would accompany you and make
sure that you would get access. Yes. Yeah. No.
Wait. Let's be serious right now. Is he taking this as a joke? Like, is this a big joke to him? Making faces, gesticulations. This is a debate on the world stage, on the international scene. I'm finding this ridiculous, all right? Really ridiculous. I'll leave the link to the video in the description so you guys can go watch the full video. Okay, but I've just taken some clips, even though it's still a bit lengthy.
I would make sure that you get in and that you get the opportunity to speak with Palestinians. Yes.
All right.
I think that you would have a good opportunity to do it.
I was promised
equal your response.
I've spoken for 3 minutes or even less, and the rest he's spoken. This is unfair. Like, come on, guys.
Well, you had equal time until that last exchange where I was arguing with him. So now you can respond, Bassem.
So first of all, Israel is known. They have broken more international laws than Diddy has violated young rappers, right? This is bullshit. Right. This is the problem with debating with pathological liars than him. It's like trying to nail jelly to the wall. It's messy, it's pointless, and everybody watching knows that you're wasting your time. Pathological liars don't argue with you. They argue to exhaust you, right? The whole point is to drag you into pointless and a maze of circular logic that you either give up or you lose your temper, right? You present evidence, they question the source. You give them the sources are biased. You show them video footage, the footage is taken out of context. You give them the context, it's complicated. For them, truth is not a destination. Truth is a moving target, right? Everything can be always debated, including gravity, right? Reality for them is another opinion. War crimes becomes allegation, genocide becomes a conflict, dead children becomes casualties in a very sad, complex situation. Words have no meaning anymore, right? So they do all of that while maintaining this calm, reasonable demeanor, like him. He has like a resting genocide face. Like, it's like crazy, right? They're not here, not the...
Did he just say a resting genocide face? Like he just literally said those words. I want to say something about their demeanor. All right, their demeanor. I'm going to start from left to right. So my left is Jonathan. So you see Jonathan, calm, composed, just there listening, not getting riled up. All right. I'm moving over to the right, Bassem. You see his body language, his gesticulations, his voice. You can hear the tension in his voice. He's not calm. When someone is being aggressive, yeah, you can hear the aggression in his tone. And once someone gets aggressive, they start moving around, getting aggressive. One of the things they do is to throw insults. They throw insults at you to try to get you, riled up, to try to rattle you up a bit, to get you annoyed. And once you get annoyed, then they can get the conflict that they want. Okay, because when they throw words at you and then you throw words back at them, it becomes a full-blown circus. The only thing that's stopping this debate from becoming a circus is Jonathan.
Here to waste time while people die. So you don't debate with pathological liars. You diagnose them, right? So because this is a problem. And also I've been hearing. I just want to ask, do you practice in the mirror this victim voice? Because you just sounded as if the most powerful nuclear power in the region are hiding under the bed like a small puppy. This is crazy. And also, let's talk about journalists. How many times Israel killed journalists? And then it's like, it didn't happen. It wasn't us. No, it was us. But it's an accident.
Let's talk about journalists, Bassem. Yeah, let's talk about journalists by all means.
Don't interrupt me. Basha, don't interrupt me. Halas? It's not us.
Let's talk about journalists, indeed, about Hamas.
Let's talk about shut up. I didn't interrupt you. Shut the fuck up.
He actually said that. He actually said this. How can you go to a debate and be throwing insults directly at people and be using curse words? Nah, to be honest, he's lost it. He's lost it. I'll tell you why. Clearly, I'll say it, yeah? I'll say it very clearly for you guys to hear this. It's not about taking Jonathan's side or Bassem's side. There's nothing at all about the sides. We're here to listen to their debate, to hear the facts that they have to say, all right? And Bassem seems to be poor, really articulately poor at expressing himself. I'm not talking about his use of English, all right? His English is okay, it's fine, yeah? But his choice of words, his choice of insults, okay? Yes, he's got some spot and metaphors. For me, I wish he would calm down a little bit and say the things he's saying. When he says them a bit calmer, he would drive the point home some more, okay? People will be more accepting. But like this, with the aggression, with the whole aggro he's coming with, it's killing this, it's killing this. This debate is for intellectuals, all right? I know he was a surgeon or doctor or something like that. Yeah, and then he chose to go into comedy. Absolutely fine. Use your intelligence. There's a time and place for everything. I think what he's doing here is just trying to perform.
So anyways, you have
don't
journalists.
Don't tell me to shut the fuck up and don't use that language with me, Mr.
And
Bassem.
they have...
Don't use that language with me.
Bad language and you're killing people. Malish, I'm so sorry if my language is hurting your feeling. Again,
Malish, don't use that language with me. Try to keep it civilized. Do it for a second. Try to keep it civilized.
Civilized. Okay, Habibi, mesh. المهم. Anyways, let's talk about journalists. Let's talk about journalists. how many times they killed journalists, right? And how many times they denied it, then say, like, it's Hamas, like, it was not us, it was a mistake, oh, we will investigate. And let's talk about journalists, Bar. Let's talk about Asa Weinstein, a British journalist in London. His house was raided by British police for writing and exposing Israeli war crimes, for exposing their claims on October 7th, or for exposing the rape hoax. He debunked the rape hoax. He exposed the Hannibal Directive. This is a guy sitting in London talking about a foreign country, and he was raided by British police. So I want to ask everybody who cares about freedom of expression, including you peers, like, shouldn't you be worried that one of your nationals, a British journalist, he shares your same profession, to be raided by London police and his equipment taken away for writing about a foreign country? What does this tell you about England? What does this tell you about Israel? What does it tell you about the so-called freedom of expression in the West?
Okay, let's talk about this bit about the freedom of expression. Freedom of expression in the UK has been attacked. So his claims here are actually true. His claims are very true. I give that to him. All right, this is facts. We've had a grandfather, a pensioner, over 70 years old, getting arrested for what? For making a Facebook post.
Right? So this is the problem. Like, this is the problem of dealing with people.
So let me ask you a question, Bassem. Let me ask you a question, because I've given Jonathan a hard time. I think he's deserved it after some of the things he said. And let me give you a different type of question. The Israelis say, and have said from the start, all that has to happen is Hamas release the remaining hostages. And they have steadfastly refused to release the people that they kidnapped on October the 7th, 2023. Why don't they release the hostages? And do you condemn them for not releasing them?
You see, this is the problem.
Is that going hard on him, Piers? Really? Do you condemn Hamas? Seriously?
To be honest, yeah, I was waiting for a hard question. Really, that's true. This is the question Piers Morgan classes as a hard question, as a question that would give Bassem a tough time.
Your voice is annoying. Stop. Your voice
so
is
annoying. Yours, but that's okay.
Yeah, maybe.
But I manage.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? People pay to come to my shows. They won't pay to come to yours. Anyways, so here's the.
I'm not going to go into a pissing contest with who's a better comedian.
Because you will lose.
You can have that title. You can be a satirican.
You will definitely lose.
That one right there, that was surgical. That was clinical. He wiped Bassem on the floor with just that one line. I'm not gonna go into a pissing competition with you over who is the better comedian. Or who's a good comedian. And then Bassem was like, yeah, because you lose. Bassem didn't get it. He didn't understand it. What Jonathan was saying is that right now you are sounding like a joke. Right now, nobody can take you serious.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? People pay to come to my shows. They won't pay to come to yours. Anyways, so here's the.
I'm not going to go into a pissing contest with who's a better comedian.
Because you will lose.
You can have that title. You can be a satirican.
You will definitely lose.
All right, can you answer my question?
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's talk about credibility. Now, this is what Israel claims. Why would I believe anything that Israel says?
Piers, did you ask him a question, or is this another monologue?
Yeah, I do want an answer to the question, Bassem. I think that's only fair, right? I mean, it's a very straightforward question.
I'm telling you, this is Israel claims. Why do I believe a liar? Israel has lost its... Israel has...
Well, you don't dispute there are still hostages, do you? Or do you?
Yeah. These negotiations have fallen many times within the government because people inside the Netanyahu government didn't went through...
Yeah, but that wasn't the question I asked you.
You have testimonies from...
but hang on, Bassem, that wasn't the question I asked you. I simply said, why haven't they released the hostages? And do you...
Well, you can ask Hamas for this because I'm not a Hamas
let me remind you, and do you condemn Hamas for not releasing them?
Oh, my God. You condemn Hamas. You could... Yes, I condemn Hamas. This is great. Even if they have hostages, even if Hamas was a vampire sucking baby's blood, what is happening there is not justifiable. You cannot, you do not destroy a whole population.
That's a different question. It's a different question. Bassem, that's a different question. And I agree with you. By the way, Bassem, I actually agree with you, but my question is very simple. Should Hamas release the hostages, and does the fact they keep refusing to, do you condemn that? A simple question.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. Hamas have agreed to, again, I'm not a Hamas representative. I cannot speak for them. But we all know that Hamas has agreed. And Israel comes. No. Israel has sabotaged this deal many times based on testimonies from inside the Israeli government and from the family of the hostages. Israel is the one that's been sabotaging this.
But answer my question.
Just answer the question, please, mate. That's it. Just answer the question.
I'm answering your questions.
You're not.
It's not that because Israel has sabotaged.
Should they release the hostages, and do you condemn them for not releasing them?
Of course they should. Of course they should.
And do you condemn them for taking the hostages and not releasing them?
I condemn Hamas for not releasing the country, and I condemn Israel for keeping more than 25,000 hostages in Israel. Half of them is women and children. Right? And it is, again, let me go back to my point. Credibility. Israel has lied many times. You have the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, went in front of the UN right before they bombed Lebanon. And he said every house in South Lebanon, in their kitchen, in their garage, harbors a missile for Hezbollah. If this is not comedy, what is this? How can you believe someone who said something?
Have you been to southern Lebanon?
And he said,
have you been there? Do you know anything about it? No,
of course,
don't say that. Have you been there? Do you know anything about it? Out of the three of us, I'm actually the only guy who's been there. You haven't been there. You don't know about it. I'm quite sure that you haven't seen intelligence about Hezbollah operations. And I'm quite sure that Pierce hasn't either. I can tell you that I've seen it with my own eyes. Yes, I have seen tunnels underneath houses in Lebanon. I have seen houses that...
Okay, let's be fair. I do agree that Jonathan shouldn't have butted in because it's Bassem's turn to talk. I'm telling you, like, this whole thing was almost like a circus, completely. Wow. I feel for Pierce. Look at Pierce's face. I really feel for him.
That Hezbollah used for military purposes. And when you speak about lying, well, at least you should have something to back up your claims. You're saying nonsense. You don't know what you're talking about. Your cheap TV
Can you not? Don't talk over each other, Jonathan. There's no point. Let Bassem finish and then respond.
Yo, we came for comedy, yeah? No way. No way. You can you believe it that this is a debate about life and death? A debate about an ongoing war. And look at how the debate is going.
It's fine.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, finish your point, Bassem, and let Jonathan...
Wait, what did he say? He said it again?
Cheap TV
Can you not... Don't talk over each other, Jonathan. There's no point. Let Bassem finish and then respond. It's fine.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, finish your point, Bassem, and let Jonathan respond.
Pathological and fragile, always deeply hurt state. While they're doing that while holding the gun. Israel is what happens when you give a very advanced military to a Karen. Actually, he looks like a Karen. He looks like the male Scandinavian version of a Karen. Actually, he looks like he swallowed the Karen. But Israel is the only place where you can bulldoze a house and then sue you for stretching the tent. But dude, everybody knows that you're lying. Your neighbor knows that you're lying. Your barista knows you're lying. Even your GPS avoids your house because of the sting that comes from your vicinity. Everybody knows you're lying.
Well, I would say this. All right, let me jump in.
Pathologically lying.
Okay, let me put it this way. You know what, Jonathan? You're perfectly entitled to not care what I think about any of this or what Bassem Youssef has to say about it, because obviously he has passionate views on the other side.
Guys, this is becoming a bit hard to watch. Really hard to watch, okay, because I come here to see intellectuals. I come here to see people debating, you know, talking with respect. You understand? Talking to teach people, to impart more knowledge to us, you know, to educate us, to enlighten us on the things that are going on, and not to see, you know, adults or an adult calling, you know, someone names, an adult being childish. That's not why I came to watch this.
Let me jump in.
Pathologically lying.
Okay, let me put it this way. You know what, Jonathan? You're perfectly entitled to not care what I think about any of this or what Bassem Youssef has to say about it, because obviously he has passionate views on the other side of this. And I've changed my views, as you know. I've said this to you very clearly. But I'm not the only one. What would concern me right now, if I was Israeli, or Jewish actually, is if I read Thomas Friedman's column, which was very powerful, and I urge people to read it today on the New York Times website. If I saw that the UK, Australia, Norway, Canada, New Zealand have sanctioned 2 members of the Israeli government for repeated incitements of violence against Palestinian communities, if 2 former prime ministers, one, Ehud Olmert, said enough is enough, Israel's committing war crimes. Ehud Barak, choosing a war of deception, would write a new chapter in the March of Folly. The war is a misleading smokescreen that purports to be a campaign for the country's security and future, while in actuality it's a political war. You've got your own former prime ministers. You've got Jewish columnists. You've got 5 allies. And they're all being increasingly critical of what this Israeli government is doing. Okay. Why does that not concern you?
Yeah, I must say he's very concerning. That is a very valid claim by Piers Morgan. That's a good question. So let's hear the answer.
So let's address that. First, let's characterize the countries that are part of that. Norway is not an ally. Norway has been really the tip of the most extreme part in Europe.
Let's take the UK.
Propagating for a Palestinian state at all costs. Yeah, I will. And as I said in the beginning, I am indeed worried. I'm saddened by it. I think that it is a wrong decision. And I regret that that is what the UK has decided to be the policy that the UK
You know why they're doing it, don't you, Jonathan? They're doing it because Smodrich and Ben-Gvir have made no secret through their publicly stated comments that they want to kick all the Palestinians out of Gaza. They're also endorsing endless new illegal settlements on the West Bank. This is genocidal language that they're talking. That's why these actions have been taken. And I don't believe, Jonathan, having interviewed you many... Hang on, let me ask the question. Having interviewed you many times since the start of the war, I do not believe that you have anything in common with these people. I just think you instinctively know what they're saying and what they are planning to do is wrong.
So let me say this. As I said in the beginning, and I've been clear about it, I didn't vote for, and I probably don't support them in much of what they say. Not in content and not in the way that they say it. I don't think that everything that these 2 ministers, these elected officials say is wrong, but I do think that many of their statements have been tasteless, have been wrong, and have been unhelpful. Now, what I am concerned with a lot, really a lot, is what we spoke about the last conversation when you had Ehud Olmert on. You asked him one semi-serious question about the war crimes allegations. He didn't back it up because he doesn't have anything to back it up with. He was just there for the headlines, and for the attention, and because he has a grudge against Bibi, and because he also has a lot of criticism against him. That is fine, and that's part of the Israeli political debate and environment, and that is usually what happens in democracies when people have the ability to say what they think and they have the freedom to do so. By the way, Arabs have it as well in Israel, unlike in most other countries in the Middle East. However, what I would say is also very worrying, and I think relevant to this program and to many other programs, is how easily Hamas propaganda and anti-Semitism are platformed, and what the consequences of journalists. A few questions ago, you started speaking about journalists. I would like to address the issue of the responsibility of journalists when they report from the field. I would like to address the responsibility of the New York Times. They are in the field. They are in the field. They have people in the field, and they have people in Jerusalem.
How many international journalists are currently in Gaza? How many international journalists are currently operating freely in Gaza?
Why would you diminish the importance of Palestinian journalists in Gaza?
I asked you how many international journalists.
Why would you unqualify them?
You killed them.
I said how many international journalists are in Gaza?
You can see who is reporting.
Nada.
Yeah, you can see who is reporting. All of the major networks are reporting from Gaza.
If you don't like the
editors
reporting from Gaza, then let international journalists in. But you won't. And there's only one reason you won't, because you don't want journalists. You don't want journalists to actually report what's happening. You would rather smear all Palestinian journalists
and
as
we are in
Hamas.
agreement. Piers, we have covered it, and I have already said that we are in agreement that you and I have said to Israeli counterparts of media that I think we should allow journalists in. We have said that, and I think you don't need to use it every time I start to make an argument of something that is remotely
and
inconvenient.
you keep questioning the integrity of Palestinian journalists who are getting killed in large numbers, record numbers in fact, but you won't let the international journalists in.
And I will continue to do that, Piers. Yes, and I will continue to question the veracity
but that's
of
very easy to do, isn't it?
Palestinian
so easy to smear Palestinian journalists who are dying in large numbers because you won't let any other journalists in. So you say all the ones that are there are pro-Hamas.
Piers,
you smear
there is
them
a lot
all.
of reporting from Gaza. There is a lot of reporting from Gaza, and really, I think, you know, it's fine that you have a point to make, but you cannot say that every time I open my mouth and I speak about press coverage or falsifying reality or repeating Hamas propaganda, that cannot be the answer that you use each and every time that I make a point about reporting.
Actually, it can.
And responsibility
because it's
of
one
journalists
way.
and editors.
It is
no,
actually I
it
can.
cannot be.
I can,
it cannot
Jonathan.
be,
I'll tell you
Piers.
why I can.
No, it cannot
Let
be.
me answer.
No,
I'll tell you why I can.
You can do it.
Did you hear that? He said, let me answer. Piers Morgan is the king of interrupting people. The king of interrupting people. And this guy is just here making faces. Oh my God. Oh my God, I don't know. Honestly, guys, you know, woo, watching this up to this time, I think you all deserve an award. So I love you guys. All right. And also for me, guys, make sure you smash like and subscribe. Okay. I love you all. Okay.
Everything.
I'll tell you why I can.
But at the end of the day, I think responsibility goes both ways.
Let me answer you.
Yeah,
let me answer
but responsibility
you.
as a journalist also
Stop
goes
talking
both
and
ways.
let me answer you. Right? This is the reason I can.
By all means, Piers.
Because ultimately we've got to a place in this war where Israel denies or cast out over anything that happens which reflects negatively on the IDF or the Israeli government. Anything. It's all just dismissed as it didn't happen like that.
That's also
we'll
not
launch
true.
an
That's
internal
not true,
investigation
Piers.
ourselves.
If we're honest,
blah, blah,
that's
blah.
not true.
And so the overriding answer to all of that problem, to all of that, to get to the truth, to get to the bottom of it, is let the international journalists in. So I will keep saying it until it happens. I know you agree with me. I know you agree with me,
Piers.
but
That's
you
fine.
agreeing with me doesn't
Fine.
make it change.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah. As I said, you can keep on saying it, but I would keep on saying that I think journalists and editors have responsibility for the lies that they spread and for the anti-Semitism that they help flame. And I think that we see that. Jews, when you speak, you expressed concern and you asked me how I feel as an Israeli and as a Jew about what people say and about the situation. I am concerned without even a drop of cynicism about what you said. And I think those are serious issues that this government needs to answer for. But I will also say that I am very concerned with the ease and with the negligence that I see journalists and people with access to microphones, how they just spread falsehoods, libels, and lies about Israel and about Jews. And I see the real world consequences of what happens when Islamists and Palestinian supporters and Hamas supporters and all of the other bad apples that have embedded themselves in Western society are allowed to
But
take
we've also
the streets
got,
in
Jonathan,
London
I'm going to
and
get a
are allowed
Bassem.
to take the streets in New York.
I'm going to get a Bassem to respond.
Yeah, his point is very valid. It's very valid. Anytime, you know, and every time we see Jews, we ask them, how you doing? Hope you're okay. How do you feel? You know, sometimes I ask people, how do you feel being a Jew in London, you know, with everything that's going on? And then when I've met Palestinians, the only thing I never even talked to them about the war because I know it to be really sensitive for them. Okay, so I just talk to them to find out how they are generally, you know, their well-being and everything. So we just talk at length and yeah, basically that. But we never ask them, oh, how do you feel being a Palestinian in London and all of that? No, I've actually not done that with the Palestinians that I've met. That is true. I've never thought about it before. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, he's got a valid point there.
respond, but I would just say on that point, I myself have seen in the last 2 weeks that if you dare to criticize the Israeli government in a way that almost everybody is now doing, by the way, whether it's former Israeli prime ministers, whether it's allies of the country, you name it, people are queuing up to criticize the Israeli government. But when I did it, despite having defended Israel's right to defend itself for many, many months, as Bassem knows, we argued about it, that I was immediately accused of being a Jew hater and an anti-Semite. It is a deliberate campaign.
Piers, that's not
it was a
accurate.
deliberate campaign to shut me up. It was a deliberate campaign to stop me criticizing the Israeli government by branding me a Jew-hating anti-Semite, which anyone who's watched this show from the start of this war knows is complete nonsense. Right.
No way Piers Morgan just said that. There's absolutely no way. Piers Morgan, it was not about you siding, Palestine. It was not about your point of view, all right? It wasn't about your stance in the whole debate there. It wasn't. It was in the mannerism in which you conducted it. It was in the way you kept interrupting Natasha. You kept cutting her off. You kept interrupting her and not letting her speak. It's the way you were being accusatory. That's the only reason why. That's it. I never even thought about you being anti-Semite. I didn't think about that at all. Like someone like me, I don't think that. Okay, I felt like he still, I felt he was decent in the sense that he was not taking Israel's side and trying to get information from her. So he was pushing her, trying to get information from her. Okay, so that I would say yes. All right, because at least as a host, he's not meant to take sides. But sometimes to get answers, you play as if you're on the side, so you can see how far a person you're talking to, interrogating or asking questions would go. Okay, but if you ask me genuinely, I don't know. Genuinely, I don't think Piers is on either side. Genuinely, that's my take. I don't think he's on either side. He might seem to have switched, but I still don't think he's on either side. Yeah, all of this, I think, is just drama, theatrics, just to show people that he's balanced.
Bassem, your final word to this.
That's not truthful.
Well, it is true. I read it every second on social media. I saw myself being accused of being a Jew-hating anti-Semite.
The criticism against you was, Piers, you know that the criticism against you wasn't because you have criticism against Israel.
I don't know like if this is funny or what it is. Okay, but to be honest again, it is Bassem's turn to talk and then Jonathan is butting in. There we go, we said the truth.
It was because how you spoke to Natasha, the tone and the demeanor.
Yeah.
It wasn't the content
of what you said. Which I make no apology for, by the way.
How you spoke.
She is a barrister for a group called Lawyers for Israel. She's not an impartial horse in the race. She's supposed to be an international barrister. If she can't take tough questions or being challenged or being interrupted by a journalist, she's in the wrong job. Right, Bassem, your response to Jonathan to round off. Bassem will now be allowed to speak without interruption to finish the debate. Bassem.
First of all, Piers, welcome to the behavior of narcissistic psychopath. They love bomb you, and then when you make a single criticism about that, they go all flip like bad shit on you. Welcome, Habibi. Also, like Jonathan, overuses the word anti-Semitism so much, it's like a used condom at this point. Completely stretched out, lost all its protection, and nobody wants to touch it anymore.
He grossed me out with that, He grossed me out. I'll tell you why. Because there's a time and place, all right? There's a time where you're using your intellectual brain, you're thinking, you're on serious topics, you're trying to, get some points across, you're trying to understand what is going on, your mind is actively thinking, all right? You're not ready for jokes, you're not ready for crude talk, all right? You're not ready for things like this, all right? This is not a place for satire, this is not a place for comedy, and to be honest, there's a question that this is bringing to my mind right now. Should comedians and satirists be taken serious when it comes to politics and serious topics? Should they be taken serious? From this, it's looking like no. Like no is the answer.
Jonathan uses Hamas more like a crackhead uses excuses, right? And let me tell you about like things from the ground. I'm coming to London, by the way, 19th of July. There is a big concert called Voices for Solidarity. They are organized by health workers for Palestine, right? These are people that were on the ground and they saw with their own eyes and they have testimony. I would love you to actually host some of them. So if you want people from the ground, so they tell. But of course, it's going to be like Hamas propaganda and all of that. And also, like what's like really have been bothering me about all of this is the reset. It's as if the media is living its own Groundhog Day. Everything resets, right? Like Western media has the attention of a TikTok algorithm. Every discussion starts from zero. Every crime exists in a vacuum. Every pattern is like coincidence. Like, oh my God, those Israelis there had really bad luck with these accidental hospital bombing. What the hell? 40 hospitals bombed, and we discuss 41 as it's a new development. Right? It's like covering a serial killer, new 20th victim without checking the 19 victims in the freezer. This is not covering the story. This is covering up the story. And here's the thing. Nobody believes you, Israel. Nobody believes you. Nobody likes you. No matter how much media covers for you, no matter how much politicians you buy to parrot your talking points, no matter how many fake influencer you hire to whitewash your face, no matter how many fake Indian-based accounts that tweets for you, no matter how many European models you bring in and you pay them so they can dance with the IDF uniform, right? That everybody can see you, everybody can smell your bullshit, right? You are like the neighbor who firebombs everybody's house and he's sad why he's not invited to a house party, right? You will win in the battlefield. You will get more land. Because America supports you. It's like supporting a rabid dog that shits on your lawns and eats your cats and bites everybody. And it's like, oh, you just like you have a bad day.
Oh, this is the second time I'm hearing somebody use rabid dog in reference to Israel. Is that what they call Israel now? A rabid dog? Okay. All right, that's no coincidence. I see.
You will win, maybe, on the battlefield. But everybody knows who you are. A bunch of heartless, psychopathic, demonic assholes. And that's, I don't have anything to say.
Is that the end of the debate, Piers? That's the final statement of this.
If you want to have a final word very quickly, by all means.
Wow. He just lashed out, you know. Bassem lashed out. You're allowed to be passionate and be a bit emotional, but you need to be more calm and more logical at the debate. Okay, it's not an avenue for you to try to get sympathy from people. Okay, it's an avenue for you to lay out your facts. Let people hear your facts. Just lay it out normally. It's fine. I think Bassem's point might have hit harder if he was calmer and if he used less crude, rude talk. I think it would have been, more hard hitting. Okay.
I'll try to say something positive. You know, despite that very foul language and what he just said.
Okay, now this is the bit I said that really touched my heart. All right, this last bit.
I will gladly invite you and your grandchildren to come visit Israel in 70 years. Maybe you and I won't be here, but maybe our grandchildren will. They will come to see a flourishing, democratic, free, prosperous society that despite the actions of the people like you, despite our enemies, despite naysayers, despite haters and many other people, they will see that we will continue to live in our ancestral homeland. We will continue to nourish it and love it, and we will continue to prosper and live here despite people like you.
All right, but
That's not all. That's not all. Keep listening. Keep listening. That's not all.
I'd also like in 70 years' time to see exactly the same for the people in Gaza who are Palestinians. And
that's their choice.
And that has been
their choice.
Okay,
they can have it.
I would like to see that.
Choice.
I would like to see that kind of utopia for them as well.
So would I.
And for them to enjoy the same human rights that you and I enjoy. I've got to leave it there,
so would I. But that's their choice.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Jonathan, you had a good amount of time to speak, as did Bassem. Thank you both very much.
So, like I said, the beat that touched my heart was where he said after 70 years, he would invite them and their kids to come over to, you know, Israel to see how it's prosperous. And then he said, not just Israel, also Palestine. But for Palestine, it is their choice. Okay, because he's speaking as Israel, because Israel, they have their plans. And then he said for Palestine, they need to decide that for themselves. All right, they need to decide that and make the right choices. That's what he said. Okay, now let's talk about this a bit. All right. For me, Bassem Youssef was a bit childish. I think he crossed the line. I think he was being too disrespectful and quite disruptive. A lot of the metaphors that he used, I think they were a bit crude and uncalled for. They were unnecessary. A lot of the faces that he was making was too childish. I mean, what is this? Is this like this child's play to you? Okay, he made it like a circus. Okay. He might have points, all right, but for his point to hit home, he needed to be a bit calmer. Yes, passionate, emotional, but a little bit calmer and should have better choice of words because there is a place and a time. I'm sure you've heard that before. What we say, there is a place and a time, all right? This debate is not the place for him to say or use those metaphors that he used. They were so silly and very unprofessional, you know. But that line where Jonathan said that I'm not going to be taking a pissing competition with you over who's the better comedian, you can have that title. He just slayed him there. He just nailed him to the cross. No, to the cross, not even to the cross. He buried him, all right, completely. And he didn't even know it. Like he didn't know it. Gone. Wow, ridiculous, ridiculous. So, like I said, this is not about taking sides. Jonathan was right, Bassem was wrong, or Bassem was right, Jonathan was wrong. It's not about that. It's about them slaying their facts. Because to be honest, there's no way a war can be perfect. There's no way one side can, you know, run a war campaign and everything they did was perfect. They were righteous. For Jonathan, big up to him. He tried. He was calm. All right, he made his points. He was calm. It was easy to listen to him or understand. Piers Morgan was just being Piers Morgan, annoying, interrupting, and just being the new Piers. Basically, that's it. Yeah, he was really more professional before, but now he's changed. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you think Bassem crossed the line, or is it all fair in political satire? It's been your boy Shady, one and only. I'm gonna catch you in the next video. Love and peace out, guys.
More than words can say, you are me. Oh, you are the light that shines my way. You are me.